let's say you have piece of paper here. Let's say you're Sagittarius rising. Okay. Sagittarius is I understand. So you're in life to understand yourself. And so you're going to be, if you're Sagittarius rising, you're going to be presented with circumstances that you don't understand about yourself. It doesn't mean you start off understanding yourself. It's sort of what you're meant to do through life. So you're given conditions or circumstances where you don't understand yourself, but you also have the motivation to develop understanding. So I have Aries rising, okay, and Libra over here. I just want to be myself. I'm not particularly interested in analysing or understanding or, doing anything like that. I just want to be myself. So, we're saying that George has Virgo rising. 22 Virgo rising. So how is he going to analyse himself? And we look, and we know that Mercury, Virgo here is ruled by Mercury. He has Mercury in the 8th house, actually about 22 degrees of Aries. But leave that for the moment. Just understanding Virgo here and Mercury in the 8th. So we all know something about the 8th house. And if we keep it simple and think that the 8th is death, right, and sex. This fellow George, he wrote a play, and this play was published. It was performed in 3 different countries, and the play was about the murder of a young gay fellow in a park by a group of young men. And throughout the play, the author explores the ideas and the thinking and motivation of the people involved. The ruler of the first, he's analysing himself, how through death and sex. Okay, so I have no interest in death and sex in that way. And I would never write a play. But the thing is, this is George's path. Virgo here and Mercury in the 8th. It's not my path. So I can say it. It doesn't mean that much to me, but it means a lot to George because this is his chart we're talking about. So he analyses himself, Virgo rising, through other people's values. The 8th house. This is other people's values. And so other people's values are important to him. He keeps up with what's going on in the news and what people are saying, and he writes plays about, he's doing one about the James Earl Ray, the murderer, apparent murderer of Martin Luther King, and he's looking at what was going on inside James Earl Ray's head before the murder. I can't imagine taking the time to write something like that, but again, this is not my path. So, and the other thing we have to mention is, this was a play that he wrote that was published, and it was performed. Why? Okay, Mercury we know rules Virgo and Gemini. He has Gemini on the 10th house. So his self-analysis comes before the public, the 10th house. And it gets performed publicly, the 10th house. So we have Virgo, the significator of George, rules the ascendant, so it's a significator of the self, but it also rules the midheaven. And so there's a link between, and maybe there's the same thing, his own self and his reputation, the 10th and the 1st. So, at the same time, 22 Virgo is in the Taurus decanate. There's Virgo, and there's Capricorn, and there's Taurus. 20 to 30 is the Taurus decanate, and George is Venus in the 6th. I think it's 28 Aquarius. But take just Venus in the 6th for the moment. What do we know about the 6th? It represents sickness. It also represents service. And I'd like to steer clear of sickness for the moment, only because it seems like everybody you know is on medication. So talking about sickness and his health problems is the kind of thing that could apply to anyone. But the ruler of the 1st in the 6th, he's in life to be of service to other people. Now he is a high school teacher, and he does extra work willingly. He does marking. He organises and publishes the school newspaper. He writes plays that the school performs. He takes the play to other schools. He's really very involved, and he is actively of service to other people. So as a person, he is Mercury and Venus. Whereas I have the Leo decanate of Aries rising, so I'm Mars and the Sun. And so, what's your ascendant? By sign and by decanate. And what planet or planets are you? And see what that tells you about you. Because it's interesting, I think, that I was thinking about something else there. So when you can add, like I'm doing here, Virgo, Mercury, Venus, when you can add anything, even if you've never done it before. So we know that 1 and 1 is 2, right? So 1 plus 1 equals 2. So we know that 100 plus 100 equals 200, even though we've never added 100 and 100 before. And so in the same way, you can, even though you've never looked at this person's chart before, you know the rising sign in the decanate, you know the rulers, and you know what houses these rulers are in, and you can put together a story or a description of that person and the kinds of experiences that person's going to have in life, even though you've never seen the chart before. So you could look at Mozart, who's got Virgo rising, and he's got Mercury, the ruler, here, and Saturn, the ruler, in the 5th house. And you could put something together about Mozart, even though you've never seen Mozart's chart before. So, also one last point about George is that his, with 22 Virgo, it's the Capricorn decanate, so we've got Mercury and we've got Venus. And we know that Mercury and Venus are close to the Sun, and they can't be in square to each other. Whereas somebody, let's say, 12 Cancer, okay, is ruled by the Moon, and it's the Scorpio decanate, so ruled by Mars. Somebody with 12 Cancer rising could have the Moon opposite Mars. So there's a conflict, there's a pull, a pulling apart within that individual. Whereas you can't have that if you get 22 Virgo rising. So somebody with 12 Cancer rising could have this type of difficulty to overcome. With 22 Virgo rising, you can't have certain problems just because the rulers can't be in opposite signs, because they have to be their own. What's Mercury? 28 degrees maximum from the Sun, and Venus is 45. So you cannot have certain setups with 22 Virgo rising. Okay, so I think that's sort of it. And I mentioned before that astrology is like a never-ending voyage of discovery. And that's because you can have 3 people, all with 22 Virgo rising, but they have Mercury in different signs, houses, making different aspects. They have Venus in different signs, houses, making different aspects. But the method of adding 1 and 1 getting 2 is the same, no matter where the planets happen to be, and no matter what the rising sign is. So I hope you enjoyed this. Try it for yourself and see what you get. And I'd like to do a follow-up to this quite soon and bring in other factors.